Q Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Herald Scotland podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @CuneReview, that is @CuandReview. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@cunereview.com. That is information@CuandReview.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
For the Herald. Wednesday, the 2nd of October 2024. Sports section. Gutted Neil Lennon brands exposed Celtic, too nice. And this article is by Robbie Henratty and it's read by Ross. Neil Lennon has claimed most of Celtic's problems against Borussia Dortmund stemmed from being too nice. The Scottish Premiership giants suffered a humiliating 7-1 UEFA Champions League loss at the hands of Nuri Sahin's German hosts. Celtic conceded 2 first-half penalties among several individual and collective mistakes being ruthlessly punished throughout the 90 minutes. A lot of that in their former manager's mind was down to showing the Bundesliga side more respect than they perhaps deserved, which actually allowed them to be brutally exposed. I didn't expect them to win, Len told TNT Sports. I expected them to give a good account of themselves given the form they were in. They let the game get away from them. They were passive, far too passive with passing, didn't do the dirty business of the game well enough, weren't physical enough, too nice, and they didn't turn Dortmund at all. They kept playing the same way. The results were the same. Goal against, goal against, goal against. Eventually, when the game got to 3-1, I'm expecting someone to get a grip of the team and say, okay, let's have 5-10 minutes in their half. Let's get Maida into it. Let's turn them. Let's get a corner or a throw. There was none of that. They kept playing the same way. Passes into dangerous areas and they kept getting picked off. Dortmund are an outstanding team, but they have their flaws, particularly down to the right-hand side. But Celtic played right into their hands constantly. They've got to learn quickly. Celtic were exposed tonight. They have got to say, we can't do this away from home against top teams. We have to find another way of playing at times. Brendan Rodgers has come under scrutiny for his tactics, and Lennon was asked how much responsibility should be placed on the current boss, who still has Celtic unbeaten domestically this season. You can't keep blaming the manager, he said. Celtic have got a top manager in Brendan Rodgers. Yes, he wants his team to play football. He said before the game they would suffer at times, and they were suffering. What you do when you're suffering is you take the heat off, you can get your wide men into the game and use pace that Khan and Maida have. Didn't use that anywhere near enough. In the end, it was a little tippy-tappy passes through the midfield. And that article was by Robbie Henratty, and it was read by Ross. For the Herald. Wednesday, the 2nd of October, 2024. Sports section. Rangers support face subway chaos amid modernisation warning. And this article is by David Irvin, and it's read by Ross. Rangers supporters face contending with travel chaos before and after Sunday's Scottish Premiership match against St Johnstone. Philippe Clement's side welcomed the Perth club to Ibrox in an unusual 8 p.m. kick-off time for a league contest. And the journey to Ibrox for some supporters will be hugely altered due to modernisation works on Glasgow subway. A statement on the Glasgow subway travel social media accounts confirmed the subway would still shut at the usual 6 p.m. time on a Sunday, despite the major fixture on October the 6th. It means that many supporters who travel to Ibrox will have no route on the subway pre or post-match unless travelling to the ground before the 6 p.m. shut-off. It stated the closure is to allow modernisation of the transport system. A Glasgow subway travel update read, heading to Ranger FC versus St Johnstone match on Sunday the 6th of October, Please plan ahead as the subway will close as normal at 6 p.m. to allow for subway modernisation works. Apologies for any inconvenience. The last Glasgow subway trains on Sunday will be at 5:50 p.m. Outer Circle from Govan, the 6:03 p.m. Outer Circle from St Enoch, the 5:50 p.m. Inner Circle from Govan, and the 6 p.m. Inner Circle from St Enoch. The next trains after those times will not be until the subway reopens on Monday morning at around 6:30 a.m. The subway closure will leave supporters with bus and train links as public travel options for the Sunday night fixture. And that article was by David Irvin and read by Ross.
This is from the Herald Scotland of Wednesday the 2nd of October 2024 from the business section. Iconic fairy tale castle style city centre landmark sold. This article is by Brian Donnelly. A Scottish property company has acquired a city centre landmark as the jewel in its largest deal to date. The firm has bought an iconic 19th century building known for its fairy tale castle appearance. Real Property Scotland said it is proud to announce the largest acquisition to date, a portfolio of 100 residential units valued at £12 million in the heart of Aberdeen. It said it marks a significant milestone in the company's continued growth within Scotland's real estate market. A considerable portion of this portfolio is located in the Citadel, one of Aberdeen's most iconic buildings, built to the design of James Souter between 1893 and 1896. Known for its architectural heritage and prominent position in the city, the Citadel acquisition underscores Real Property Scotland's commitment to investing in prestigious and valuable assets throughout Scotland, it said. This is a monumental moment for us, said Conor Tracy, Director of Real Property Scotland. The acquisition not only strengthens our presence in Aberdeen, but also represents our strategic vision of expanding our portfolio with high-quality properties in key locations. The Citadel, in particular, is a jewel in this acquisition, blending historic charm with modern potential. The firm added, "This acquisition cements Real Property Scotland's reputation as a leading force in Scotland's property investment sector, with further growth and development planned for the near future." Formerly known as Real Estate Wealth Development, REWD Group, Real Property Scotland has built up a residential buy-to-let portfolio of over 350 properties across Scotland, with a £24.5 million asset value and a gross monthly rent roll of over £100,000. That article was by Brian Donnelly. This is from the Herald Scotland of Wednesday the 2nd of October 2024 from the business section. Plans to demolish Buchanan Galleries axed amid master plan rethink. This article is by Stuart Patterson. Plans to demolish Buchanan Galleries have been axed amid a major redevelopment rethink. Owners of the city centre shopping mall had previously revealed plans to demolish the centre over a number of phases and to replace it with a residential development and create new streets. It was unveiled in response to the disruption facing retail accelerated by the pandemic. Now the owners Landsec have revealed there has been a rethink and the retail sector has recovered since the pandemic, leading to a new master plan to be produced shortly. The owners confirmed the plans will retain the current building as the anchor for a new district. Rather than predominantly a residential development retaining some retail, the plan is now being talked about as rejuvenating a prime retail destination. It means that there will be a greater phased approach and shops will have a more prominent role than in the previous plan. Nick Davis, Landsec head of retail development, said, "Given the way cities have changed and retail's strong post-pandemic recovery, we're exploring a master plan that can be delivered in incremental phases and are refocusing the first phase of our vision in rejuvenating Glasgow's prime retail destination. In conversation with brands and through engagement with the public, we know that there is both consumer and commercial appetite for this to be delivered and delivered quickly. With this in mind, we will shortly be bringing forward the first phase of a renewed vision for the transformation of Buchanan Galleries. The plan is still to create a new neighbourhood, but rather than complete demolition, it will continue to feature the famous shopping centre. Mr. Davis added, "We recognise the need for investment at the top end of Buchanan Street, and the advantage of retaining and investing in the existing building means we can deliver more quickly for Glasgow's community, whilst being less disruptive and less carbon intensive than our previous proposal. We believe that, over time, we can create a new city centre district anchored by the galleries that responds to the way people want to live, shop and work. To facilitate this multi-phase master plan approach, we have recently purchased 229 to 249 Buchanan Street adjacent to the galleries, reaffirming our commitment to the city. An extract from the Landsec annual report earlier this year stated, "At Lewisham, South East London, and Glasgow, we are evolving our plans to focus more on master plans that can be delivered in discrete, incremental phases. Alongside this, we will seek to embrace opportunities to retain and reinvent existing buildings in our ambition to reduce embodied carbon. This new approach will improve overall returns by retaining more of the existing income and growing this alongside discrete development interventions. We are still finalising our plans, but this will likely result in less embodied carbon, lower risk, and less capital-intensive routes to realising the potential of these mixed-use estates." That article was by Stuart Patterson. This is from the Herald Scotland of Wednesday, the 2nd of October 2024, from the business section. Scotland's largest city running out of office space. This article is by Brian Donnelly. Scotland's largest city is running out of good quality office space, according to new research. Savills said there is less than a year's supply, and it is expected that prime supply will fall further. The International Real Estate Advisor revealed data in its latest Glasgow Scottish Property Outlook, which shows that there is currently as much as 750,000 square feet of occupier demand still looking for office accommodation across the city. While take-up of office space in Glasgow city centre reached 177,514 square feet in the first half of 2024, a 32% increase on 2023 figures, it is likely to remain below the long-term 5-year average due to the lack of good quality supply. At present, Savills said that there is only about 600,000 square feet of prime and Grade A space currently available, of which only 200,000 square feet is considered prime. This follows Virgin Money removing about 75,000 square feet of stock from the market after withdrawing 3 floors at 177 Bothwell Street. Looking at Savills data, the average 5-year take-up for the city currently stands at 490,900 square feet, suggesting that there is less than 1 year's worth of supply in the market for the right type of space. Savills expects rents to exceed £40 per square foot as the cost of construction continues to impact the viability of both new build and refurbishment projects, given the lack of development pipeline. David Cobban, head of Savills Glasgow office and director in the office agency team, said, "Given the lack of good quality stock, it is becoming increasingly difficult for occupiers to make decisions when it comes to their future office space. If they can't find what they want, they are simply rolling on their leases rather than compromising. It is also important to distinguish between prime and Grade A space, some of which is no longer meeting businesses' exacting standards. Savills figures also show that 29% of take-up was for Grade A space in the first half of the year, on par with 2023 figures. The firm suggests that this number would be far greater if the right type of supply was available, as occupiers remain on their flight to quality, seeking out premium workspace that meets both their sustainability and wellness criteria. Savills recorded 65 deals in the first half of the year, the highest on record for the first half. The second quarter also saw the highest quarterly take-up since the fourth quarter of 2022, at 99,516 square feet. Key deals to date include accountancy firm PwC, advised by Savills, taking 25,887 square feet in Aurora at 120 Bothwell Street, and Boutique Workspace occupying 21,538 square feet at 9 George Square. Mr. Cobban also said, "What's clear is that there is still activity with up to 200 square feet of deals already under offer or in legals due to complete in 2024. This, coupled with the high level of unfulfilled requirements, means we are likely to see prime supply fall, further pushing up rents, which in turn should help to justify further development in the city. Ultimately, businesses will have to be prepared to pay more to get the type of space that fulfills their requirements." That article was by Brian Donnelly.
From the Herald Scotland, Monday the 7th of October, from the Arts and Entertainment section. Alan Cumming and Forbes Mason headline Sold Out Wigtown Finale. Report by Mark McDougall. Alan Cumming and Forbes Mason were the star attractions at a sold-out finale of the 2024 Wigtown Book Festival. The pair kept a packed-out marquee and shared anecdotes about their lives, as well as discussing their new book, Victor and Barry's Kelvinside Compendium, a meander down memory close. The comedy duo earned huge fame and affection for their characters Victor and Barry, and Steve McCracken and Sebastian Flight in the hit comedy The High Life. They also spoke about how they were encouraged to lose their Scottish accent while they were students because it would be a barrier to an acting career. That has led them to discuss the importance of coming from a country that valued the arts and of being confident in the culture and identity of Scotland. Mr. Cumming said, "A Scottish accent was seen as a demerit rather than a good thing." And Mr. Mason continued, "We were one of the first years to rebel against that, and Victor and Barry were part of that. It was a confident Scottish voice. And we had to keep fighting our corner and keep speaking in our own voice. Over our lifetime, Scotland has gained confidence." Cumming said that these days people are encouraged to have their own voices, but recalled how different it was in the past. "When I went to live in America for the first time, I realised that all the things that people were celebrating me for were the things that I had been slightly derided for when I lived in London. My voice, my attitude, my difference, my values. These were things that people said, 'Oh, we like that.' And I was like, 'Oh gosh, it's pretty good, isn't it?'" They are now working on a musical version of The High Life alongside Johnny McKnight, while Mr. Mason is rehearsing a new production of The Tempest at Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, in which he will play Caliban alongside Sigourney Weaver. Recently announced as the new artistic director of Pitlochry Festival Theatre, Mr. Cumming expressed major ambitions for the organisation, as well as the importance of public sector support for the arts. He said, "I feel Pitlochry is like a football. I want to really kick it into the air and take it to the stratosphere. I really do feel that Scotland has given me everything. It's given me my education. It gave me my start in theatre and subsidised theatre. I got to do all these plays and make mistakes, and that was all funded by a government in a country that valued the arts and valued culture. It's a huge, huge boon to any artist to live in a country that thinks the arts are worthwhile, and not just in terms of the amount of money they bring back. Mr. Masson praised the Wigtown Book Festival, saying, "It's great to see what the book festival has done here, how important it's been, how it's rejuvenated everything. The arts are the beating heart of our nation, and it's important that we sustain that and feed it." The festival took place over 10 days in Scotland's national book town, and the second weekend included a festival and a festival devoted to food. Hosted by the Hebridean baker Conor MacLeod, guests included Scotland's national chef Gary McLean, MasterChef finalist Sarah Rankin, Bake Off winner Peter Sawkins, and maker of amazing modern Indian cuisine Sanyana Modha. The festival also welcomed graphic artists Molly Ray and Jessie Hepburn, the only women to have climbed Everest, swum the Channel and completed the London Marathon, all while listening to Desert Island Discs. Spectator literary editor Sam Leaf presented a history of childhood reading. Adrian Turpin, Wigtown Book Festival artistic director, said, "It's hard to imagine a more joyful end to the festival, which has drawn thousands of visitors from across the UK to Scotland's national book town. Forbes and Allen's commitment to Scottish culture was a rallying cry at a time when the whole arts sector faces increasing uncertainty." And that article was written by Mark McDougall. From the Herald Scotland, Monday the 7th of October, from the Arts and Entertainment section. Fresh arts crisis as Summer Hall hit with winding up order. Article written by Christy Dorsey. A troubled arts venue at the heart of the Edinburgh Festival Fringe is facing a new crisis after being hit with a winding up order from the government. HMRC has begun proceedings against the management company of Summer Hall, the home to an arts village of more than 120 businesses and freelancers, which has been running since 2011. While the venue has said it will continue to trade, the winding up petition will impact its ability to stage and host certain events. The venue, which is comprised of the Old Dick Veterinary School and two adjacent Brutalist buildings, is owned by Osselman Estates Limited, the family trust of Robert McDowell. Mr. McDowell is also the director of Summer Hall Management, which acts as the commercial liaison between the building's owner and its tenants. HMRC has presented a petition to wind up Summer Hall Management on the basis that corporation tax is due, but remains unpaid. Mr. McDowell says this is not the case and is vowed to defend his corner. "We believe there is no corporation tax due to HMRC and have been working with professional advisors to address and resolve matters with HMRC," he said in a statement. "Summer Hall Management are defending the proceedings raised, and we hope a resolution can be achieved which will allow us to deal with this and move on quickly. At this time, we must follow a very strict set of guidelines imposed upon us of what we can and cannot do. Please bear with us while we work to understand the situation. The team are already in communication with those we work with who may be affected by this action, but we intend to trade as best we can and in line with what is permissible whilst we defend this action. The landlord, on whose behalf we manage the building, has also been made aware and will be in direct communication with their tenants as required. The future of Summer Hall has been increasingly uncertain since May, when it emerged that 130,000 square feet site has been put up for sale by Osselman Estate Limited. The closing date for offers passed on September 18, with no news yet released about a potential buyer. Summer Hall attracts an audience of more than 1 million people annually, including 250,000 in August alone. More than 100 different shows and events were staged there during this year's Fringe, with the venue also used for Edinburgh International Film Festival screenings. Summer Hall Arts, an independent charity separate from Summer Hall Management, is trying to raise £150,000 through a crowdfunding campaign to maintain current levels of programming at the venue. And that article was written by Christy Dorsey and read by me, Ian McKenna. From the Herald Scotland, Monday the 7th of October, from the Arts and Entertainment section. Review: Folk fantasy about Selkie's legend. The Bone Diver, Angie Spotto, black and white, £16.99. Review written by Alistair Mabbott. Angie Spotto unveiled her brand of gothic fantasy last year with The Grief Nurse, in which the members of a privileged family on a private island had their more painful emotions eased away by the psychic powers of an indentured servant class. Her fascination with insular aristocrats, class friction, and the proximity of the sea carries over into The Bone Diver, but the mood is very different. The Chicago-born author's take on the legend of Selkies is damp, salty and cold, the ancient mysteries of shape-shifting seal humans rendered even more arcane by the presence of implacable elemental forces. Keir Sealgear, in her early 20s, is from a family of seal hunters, but at the age of 15 she suddenly lost the ability to kill any living thing, which means she's not much use to her mother and father, who now go about in their boat hunting without her. Their living depends on what they make from the seal pelts they bring ashore, and over the years their best customers have been the reclusive Erskine family, who live in an old manor on a clifftop overlooking their village. It used to be a thriving place, hosting glamorous parties, but none of the family has been seen for as long as anyone can remember, and rumours abound that Lady Erskine gave birth to 4 monsters who are contained by the wall and thick forest surrounding the estate. Dwindling catches have made for hard times, but things get worse when Keir's father is badly injured in a bizarre accident at sea. His daughter's long-lost hunting knife reappeared embedded in his shoulder. With Keir incapable of killing, and thus unable to take her father's place in the boat, their livelihood is threatened. She is, however, a very good diver, and Lady Erskine makes an unprecedented appearance in the village, saying that is exactly what she needs. If Keir comes to live in Erskine Manor until midsummer, and makes regular dives, she will pay more than enough to offset her parents' losses. And so Keir finally sees inside the infamous manor and meets the siblings who live there. Not monsters at all, just 4 eccentric, dashingly dressed adults who have never set foot outside the estate. Initially, they are standoffish to the seal killer from the village, except for younger sister Brega, who takes a shine to her. Brega alone, it seems, understands why she and her siblings have been confined there and how Keir can help them. Spotto's writing has a tremendous vividness, conjuring up dramatic images of a mansion which is permanently cold, damp, confoundingly hard to navigate, and evidently rotting away. It's built, Keir is told, over sea caves. The trees outside drink seawater, and even their sap, it's said, tastes of salt. An annoying leak from the ceiling leads Keir upstairs to where a woman with a seal's dark eyes lies in a bath. But she's not deterred from her job, which is to dive into deep wells in the forest to retrieve old bones from the bottom. For what reason, the aloof Lady Erskine won't say. Above all else, the Bone Diver is heavy on atmosphere. Nowhere, whether it's the village pub or a tailor shop, is quite free of the sense of weirdness that enshrouds and pervades Spotto's novel. Faced with an ocean and a forest that give the impression of having a kind of lofty sentience, even Keir's lung-bursting dives and the mysterious secrets guarded by Lady Erskine pale in comparison. It's a pungent, highly effective slice of folklore-inspired fantasy. And that was a review by Alistair Mabbutt of The Bone Diver by Angie Spotto.
From Herald Scotland, 30th of September 2024, from the STEM section of the business section. How digital twin tech can help cut transport emissions. Article by Phil Greening. Transport is a critical part of our everyday lives. Trucks, trains, cars, buses, boats and planes keep people and goods moving, whether it's getting to work, having parcels delivered, or shopping in the supermarket. A reliance on transport is hard to change. A recent demonstration of this was Transport Scotland's decision to stop subsidising peak time train fares on ScotRail. It was hoped the 1-year trial, which made rush hour train tickets cheaper and cost the Scottish Government £40 million, would encourage more people to swap car journeys for rail travel to help tackle climate change. But the trial had only limited success, Transport Scotland said. Train passenger numbers grew by up to 6.8%, but for the policy to be self-financing, a 10% increase in passenger numbers was needed. As a logistics expert and joint director of Transit, a new national hub focused on rapidly decarbonising transport in the UK, my takeaways from this are twofold. Firstly, no government can afford to decarbonise transport. The sector is too vast and the costs too big. About $180 billion a year is currently being invested in decarbonising transport globally, and we know that number will just keep growing. Secondly, our transport habits and the fragmented nature of transport, from private cars to railways, ferries, airlines and everything in between, are incredibly complex. We know that transport accounts for about 30% of carbon emissions in the UK and globally. But where and how do we start with cutting those emissions? Huge progress is already being made in areas including electric vehicles and alternative fuels, but much more is needed and time is running out. Our Transit Research Hub has been set up to address these big challenges. Jointly led by Herald University in Edinburgh and the University of Glasgow, we are a collaboration of 8 universities and 67 partners, including transport operators, regulators, vehicle makers, technology companies and energy suppliers. Our mission is to identify the lowest cost, least risky and most energy effective way to decarbonise transport by developing a digital twinning approach. Digital twins are digital replicas of the physical world. They collect data from the real world in real time and tell us what we should be doing better. For example, where to put chargers for electric vehicles, and how many chargers do we need? The answers to these questions need to consider the range of electric vehicles, the types of journeys undertaken, and the timing of any charging stops. Digital twins can use real-world, real-time data to ensure that the new system is designed well and that we are operating it efficiently. Digital twins can test many scenarios in minutes or hours instead of years, so help to address the urgency, complexity and cost of decarbonising transport. Modelling our future transport system with digital twins also removes uncertainty about what works and what doesn't, and this in turn unlocks private sector investment in decarbonised transport systems and technologies. Transit's researchers have been working in this field for many years, but it's the beginning of a new journey for Scotland and the UK, with potentially global benefits on our transition to net zero. And that article was written by Professor Phil Greening, a logistics expert at Herald University in Edinburgh and a joint director of Transit. From Herald Scotland, Tuesday, the 1st of October 2024, from the STEM section of the business section. What now for RIA after property portal Rightmove rebuffs fourth offer? Article by Karen Peaty. Australia's digital property group RIA has certainly been dogged in its pursuit of Rightmove, the high-profile UK online property portal. But Rightmove has been equally determined to stand firm, rejecting 4 offers from the company majority-backed by Rupert Murdoch's News Corp. RIA's frustration with the board of Rightmove has been evident, with the Australian property giant reiterating its disappointment and surprise at the repeated rejections of its prior proposals by the board of directors of Rightmove and the lack of substantive engagement. Its chief executive Owen Wilson stated, "We continue to see the potential for us to strengthen Rightmove and accelerate its growth. This is a compelling opportunity to create a true global technology leader on the London market via a secondary listing, operating in 2 of the most attractive markets in the world." At Rightmove, Chair Andrew Fisher was blunt, describing the last few weeks as very disruptive as well as unsettling for our colleagues. He said, "Our world-class team is executing against our strategic plan and continuing to drive innovation and accelerate growth to deliver compelling shareholder value." However, he added, "We respect RIA and the success they have achieved in their domestic market. However, We remain confident in the standalone future of Rightmove. Rightmove has been the leading operator in the UK for over 20 years, and it has differentiated market presence, branding and technology, and very significant opportunities for future growth. With no further bid from Melbourne-based RIA forthcoming ahead of yesterday's 5 p.m. put up or shut up deadline, it remains to be seen what the group, which operates residential and commercial property websites realestate.com.au and realcommercial.com.au down under, does next. The Murdochs have a reputation for getting what they want, and this fourth offer shows how serious it is. However, Russ Mould, investment director of AJ Bell, last week stated, RIA really needs to show its best and final offer. If it's still not enough to win over Rightmove's board and shareholders, the bidder needs to walk away and think about different ways to expand its empire. If there was to be a takeover, it would make Rightmove the latest of London's blue-chip companies to disappear from the FTSE 100 index. Sites like Rightmove and its rivals On the Market and Zoopla estate agents list properties for sale, profiting from the advertising fees paid, and have turned the traditional high street estate agency model on its head. It was over 20 years ago that Rupert Murdoch's son Lachlan bought RIA, and it has become increasingly important to the family empire after it disposed of some of News Corp's major media assets last year. Mr. Murdoch Sr. also retired in 2023, passing the mantle of chairman to Lachlan. However, family feuding that wouldn't look out of place in Succession, the award-winning TV series about media mogul Logan Roy, is ongoing, with Lachlan's siblings challenging the patriarch. Watch this space for the next Rightmove RIA instalment. And that article was written by Karen Peaty. From Herald Scotland, Wednesday 2nd of October 2024, from the STEM section of the business section. Lovelace Hodgkin Symposium at Glasgow University to focus on AI. Article by Jodie Harrison. The University of Glasgow is playing host to the leading figures from the UK's artificial intelligence AI community. For 3 days this week, the Lovelace Hodgkin Symposium will bring together academics, researchers and policymakers to consider and tackle the complex ethical challenges posed by AI. The event at the university's Mazumdar Shaw Advanced Research Centre will inform the development of a groundbreaking new course on AI ethics. The event is named in honour of Ada Lovelace, the pioneering 19th century mathematician who recognised the early potential of computing, and Dorothy Hodgkin, a Nobel Prize-winning chemist who made key contributions to the development of X-ray crystallography and who advocated for social justice throughout her life. The course aims to provide students with the skills required to think critically about how AI is developed, consumed and communicated, and will be co-created by students and led by the university's Dr. Kirsty Watts and Dr. Lydia Bach. Speakers from the university's research and student communities will present and participate in workshops alongside representatives of organisations including the Alan Turing Institute, the Scottish AI Alliance, the Leverhulme Centre for the Future of Intelligence, and the European Network Against Racism. The event will be closed with an address from Claire Adamson, MSP. The first day of the symposium will examine the current state of AI, with a focus on higher education, culminating in a panel discussion on AI in research and teaching, with senior university figures as well as voices from the student body. The second day will focus on approaches to tackle inequality and bias in AI, featuring discussions on AI and race, gender, the environment, children's rights, and how AI is communicated and consumed. The final day will involve participants collaborating to create an ethical framework for inclusive AI. The event has been organised with support from the university's Centre for Data Science and AI, launched in September last year. The centre brings together hundreds of academics from across the university's 4 colleges with the aim of tackling global grand challenges and creating a better future for all. Professor Anna Baziri, Director of the Centre for Data Science and AI, said, "We're delighted to be hosting the Lovelace Hodgkins Symposium with the support of key stakeholders from inside and outside the University of Glasgow. Together, we will examine the benefits and risks of artificial intelligence across a wide range of perspectives, amplifying the voices of individuals from a diverse set of backgrounds and experiences." Dr. Kirsty Watts, a senior lecturer in the School of Chemistry, said, "AI is already changing the face of education, affecting how we teach, learn and conduct research. Involving students as key contributors in the symposium will help us understand how they currently relate to AI. Their input will inform the development of the online course, which will help guide students in using AI responsibly, critiquing the use of AI from multiple angles, and advocating for inclusive AI use. I'm looking forward to welcoming attendees to the symposium, where we will work together to drive forward progress in AI ethics." And that article was written by Jodie Harrison. From Herald Scotland, Sunday 6th of October 2024, from the STEM section of the business section. Star Trek's Scotty's accent certainly explored strange new worlds. Article by Robert McNeil. "Beam me up, Scotty," it's the famous catchphrase of this week's icon, supposedly never said in exactly that form, but none the worse for that. Montgomery Scott was chief engineer of the Enterprise in Star Trek, a science fiction show, my lad. "Captain, we've lost our power, sir." That's another of his catchphrases. Scotty is a Scotsman in one of the first TV series to champion diversity, or at least diversity of stereotypes. He's fond of a dram, plays the bagpipes, wears a kilt, and was considered by series creator Gene Roddenberry to be dour. He was first and most famously portrayed by James Doohan, a Canadian of Irish ancestry. At his audition, Doohan told Roddenberry the engineer should be Scottish because all the world's best engineers have been Scottish. That was before a quirk in the space-time continuum left most Scottish men today unable to change a light bulb. Doohan himself chose Scotty's first name, Montgomery, his own middle name after his maternal grandfather, James Montgomery. But where was Scotty born? You had to ask. It's a bone of contention among 4 towns and cities keen to claim the honour. Most academics and fans confirm Aberdeen, as in one early episode, Scott describes himself as an old Aberdeen pub crawler. And face it, if you can survive a Saturday night on Union Street, you'll have no fear of Klingons. Furthermore, Doohan claimed to have based Scotty's accent on an Aberdonian one he heard at Catterick Camp, Yorkshire, during the Second World War. "I couldn't understand a word he said." Good start. However, he persevered, though not to universal acclaim. Scots are sensitive about such matters, and, while he almost gets away with, "The engines canna take it, Captain," his expressions, "have a bonny trip" and "that'll put the haggis in the fire" elicited derision. Party like it's 2222. Aberdeen's claim has been contested by Linlithgow, based on a reference in Star Trek novel Vulcan's Glory. There's even a plaque with his birth date 2222 in the local museum. But Morayshire also has a claim, after Doohan said in an interview in the 1970s that Scotty came from Elgin near Aberdeen. It seems possible, however, that James was talking out of his impulse reaction chamber on this occasion. No show without punch, and so Edinburgh also put in a claim based on a reference on one fan website, but also in the film Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, when the crew find themselves on Earth in 1986, and Scotty pretends to be a professor from Edinburgh. James Doohan is not the only actor to play Scotty over the years. 1966 to 1994 in his case. Simon Pegg took over for 2009's Star Trek reboot and its sequels, Star Trek Into Darkness 2013 and Star Trek Beyond 2016, imbuing the character with his own estimable character and humour. A young Scotty appeared in the final episode of the second season of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, portrayed by Martin Quinn, who broke alarmingly with casting tradition by being Scottish. Across all these years and portrayals, Scotty has been involved in countless scrapes and shenanigans. He was even briefly killed by Nomad, a probe originally launched from Earth in the early 21st century. Kirk was distraught, but Nomad said Scott could be repaired and duly revived him. Scotty's own ability to repair the ship in an emergency earned him the sobriquet Miracle Worker from Captain Kirk and yon Mr. Spock. However, Scott later admitted he often exaggerated his estimates of the time needed. "I know this ship like the back o' me hand," he once said, before turning round and knocking himself out on a low-hanging pipe. Other memorable lines included, "A cranky transporter's a mighty finicky piece of machinery to be gambling your life on, sir," and "The notion of transwarp beaming is like trying to hit a bullet with a smaller bullet while wearing a blindfold riding a horse." I see. Modest enterprise. Scotty commands the ship when Kirk and Spock are out on adventures. Despite being a capable leader when required, he never pursued his own command post because he never wanted to be anything else but an engineer. He was proud of the Enterprise and once started a bar fight aboard Deep Space Station K7 when a Klingon suggested the ship should be hauled away as garbage. After the Enterprise was invaded by agents of the Kelvan Empire, Scott tried to incapacitate one of them by drinking with him. As planned, he got him so drunk that the alien passed out. Unfortunately, so did Scotty. He considered Scotch a drink for real men as opposed to vodka, which he called soda pop. He wore his Scott tartan kilt on 3 occasions and played Amazing Grace on the pipes at Spock's funeral in 2285. On one occasion, he also handled a claymore. I too have done this, almost had my eye out. In 2268, when an Excalbian took the form of President Abraham Lincoln, Scotty scoffed, "President Lincoln indeed, no doubt to be followed by Louis of France and Robert the Bruce." Peter out. In Star Trek III, Scott returned to Scotland to attend the funeral of nephew Peter Preston, an Enterprise midshipman. On board, he pursued hopeless relationships with female officers who were younger and out of his league. In Star Trek Beyond, he got on surprisingly well with fierce warrior Jayla, despite repeatedly referring to her as Lassie. After serving aboard 11 starships during a 52-year career, Scotty retired at the age of 72 with the rank of captain. He was aboard a shuttle heading to a retirement colony when it crashed into a Dyson, not the vacuum cleaner, sphere. Understandably, Scott then stored himself in the bulwark for 75 years before being discovered by the Enterprise D. After helping the Enterprise D itself from being trapped within the sphere, 147-year-old Scotty was given a shuttlecraft on extended loan to either continue to his retirement colony or explore the galaxy as he sees fit. Leaving the character behind proved difficult for James Doohan. One producer told him, "I'm sorry, but we don't have a part for a Scotsman." However, he made a lucrative income from personal appearances and had the satisfaction of encouraging many young peeps to go into engineering. He also had the satisfaction of having both Elvis Presley and Groucho Marx shout, "Beam me up, Scotty," at him. And that article was written by Robert McNeill, who has worked in newspaper offices for decades. In 2013 at the Scottish Press Awards, he was nominated unsuccessfully for Janitor of the Year. And that article was read today by me, Bob. From Herald Scotland, Saturday 5th of October 2024, from the STEM section of the business section. Technology, OpenRock X open-ear air conduction sport earbuds. Article by Sean Dimmock. What is it? Sport-orientated Bluetooth earbuds. Good points? The earbuds design includes a unique 50-degree angle swivel, allowing for a tailored, comfortable fit during prolonged wear. Unlike many touch control earbuds, the OpenRock X features button controls, providing more reliable interaction when your hands are wet or gloved, which is ideal for outdoor athletes. The OpenRock X has an IPX5 water resistance rating, making it ideal for sweaty workouts and light rain exposure. Sound is delivered through a 14.2mm dynamic driver, enhanced by the LISO 2.0 algorithm and Hi-Fi 5 DSP, offering an impressive spatial audio experience. While they might not offer the noise-isolating qualities of in-ear or over-ear headphones, the open-ear design prioritizes situational awareness, crucial for runners and cyclists. The spatial sound, paired with 3 distinct modes, rock mode, relax mode and boom mode, provide tailored audio for different environments and activities. Rock mode is particularly powerful, giving a high energy boost during intense workouts, while boom mode enhances bass in noisier settings. Our standout feature is the earbuds 4 microphone setup, with AI-powered noise cancellation ensuring clear voice quality during calls. Bluetooth 5.3 connectivity supports AAC and SBC codecs and offers a stable connection with minimal lag. Battery life is excellent, offering 12 hours of use on a single charge and up to 48 hours with the included charging case. Bad points? The low latency codecs minimize lag but also reduce data transfer depth, which can impact sound quality. Best for? Active users looking for open-ear, air conduction technology that prioritizes comfort, awareness and durability. Avoid if you value sound quality over ambient awareness. Score 8 out of 10. OpenRock X, £169.99 from amazon.co.uk, and that article was written by Sean Dimmock. From Herald Scotland, Monday 30th of September 2024. From the STEM section of the business section. World's first AI-driven underwater vehicle deployed in Scotland. Article by Craig Williams. The world's first autonomous underwater vehicle driven by artificial intelligence, AI, has been deployed in Scotland. The technology has been successfully used to inspect jacket structures on Seagreen Wind Farm, Scotland's largest offshore site. Beam, a leading provider of high-technology offshore wind services, hailed the achievement as a groundbreaking milestone. Bristol-based Beam said the cutting-edge technology promises to revolutionise the field of marine technology and underwater robotics. By leveraging advanced AI, this technology can perform complex underwater tasks with no human intervention, significantly boosting the efficiency and cost-effectiveness of underwater inspections and surveys, the firm added. Beam plans to roll out the new technology across its fleet of DP2 vessels, ROVs and AUVs throughout 2025 and 2026. Brian Allen, Beam CEO, stated, "We are very proud to have succeeded in deploying the world's first autonomous underwater vehicle driven by AI. Automation can revolutionise how we carry out inspection and maintenance of offshore wind farms, helping to reduce both costs and timelines. Looking ahead to the future, the potential of this technology is huge for the industry, and success in these initial projects is vital for us to progress and realise this vision. This wouldn't be possible without forward-thinking customers like SSE Renewables, who are willing to go on the journey with us. A joint venture partnership between SSE Renewables and Total Energies, Seagreen is Scotland's largest and the world's deepest fixed-bottom offshore wind farm. It has been operational since October 2023 and was one of the largest construction projects ever undertaken in Scotland. Located approximately 27 kilometres off the coast of Angus, Seagreen has 114 turbines and is capable of generating enough green energy to power more than 1.6 million homes, equivalent to 2/3 of all Scottish homes. Matthew Henderson, Technical Asset Manager, Substructure and Asset Lifecycle at SSE Renewables, said, "At SSE, we have a mantra that if it's not safe, we don't do it. Beam's technology demonstrates that autonomous inspections can reduce the personnel we need to send offshore for planned inspections, while speeding up planned works and collecting rich data sets to inform asset integrity planning. As we move further offshore and into deeper waters, the ability to collect high-quality inspection data in a low-risk manner is imperative to us delivering our net zero acceleration programme." And that article was written by Craig Williams.
The Herald on the 8th of October and the news section. Edinburgh Jeweller's entire collection to go up for sale at auction by Mark McDougall. The entire collection from a jeweller in Edinburgh is set to go under the hammer after the owner retired. Joseph Bonnar has been a renowned jeweller in the capital for more than 50 years and is highly regarded for his expertise in antique and period jewellery. Every piece of his collection will go up for sale at Fellows Auctioneers later this month, though, after he announced his retirement. His shop on Thistle Street has been celebrated locally and international, with collectors and enthusiasts visiting it for decades. Mr. Bonnar's knowledge of important gemstones and his role in making antique jewellery fashionable has helped his reputation in the industry. He has had unique finds, including a shoebox full of jets with ties to Balmoral and a tractate of Harper's Bazaar. With his retirement now pending, collectors and enthusiasts have a rare opportunity to acquire pieces from the shop's vast inventory. Stephen Whitaker, Managing Director and Auctioneer, said, "We are delighted to handle the sale of such an esteemed collection. Joseph Bonnar has built an Edinburgh institution. For decades, he has curated an extensive and impressive collection. I feel privileged that we can give jewellery collectors the chance to own a piece of this legacy. The collection reflects a lifetime of passion and expertise in the world of jewellery." And that was by Mark McDougall. The Herald on the 8th of October and the news section. Family business sells Scottish hotel in off-market deal by Ian McConnell. A family-owned business has sold a 53-bedroom hotel in an off-market deal, its latest in a series of disposals. Solly Hotel has sold Pitt Bochley House Hotel in Dunfermline to Smar Hotels. Smar now own 3 hotels in the UK. Colliers, which conducted the sale, noted Pitt Bochley House Hotel have been trading under the Best Western brand and attracted businesses as well as leisure guests. The property agent said the 53-bedroom hotel, with its impressive range of public areas, was sold in an off-market deal through the specialist hotels team at Colliers after inviting offers. This is the firm's latest deal for the family-owned hotel group after disposing of the King's Manor Hotel in Edinburgh and Balgeddy House Hotel in Glenrothes earlier this year. Colliers noted there had been interest in Pitt Bulkley House Hotel from potential buyers based in Scotland and further afield. Sam Serrani of Smart Hotels said, "We are thrilled to add the Pitt Bulkley House Hotel to the Smart Hotels portfolio. Its prominent location, just under 30 minutes from Edinburgh Airport, and excellent facilities, including the food and beverage areas and flexible function rooms, make it a valuable addition for both leisure and business travellers. The hotel's close proximity to our major corporations and Dunfermline's rich history align with our goal of offering unique experiences while catering to a diverse clientele." The acquisition continues our strategic expansion following recent sales, allowing us to focus on building a strong presence in key locations across Scotland. We look forward to investing in the property and working with the talented team at Pitt Bulkley House to enhance its offerings while maintaining the charm and service that guests have come to love. Colliers said, occupying a prominent position just off one of the main roads in the quiet fringes of Dunfermline, Scotland's ancient capital, the hotel benefits from several food and beverage areas, as well as 4 flexible function rooms. Despite being close to the centre of Dunfermline, the property sits in around 2.5 acres of grounds with ample car parking. The hotel, which has been trading under the Best Western brand, is also popular with business guests due to the number of corporations located nearby. Julian Troop, head of hotels agency at Colliers, said, "We are pleased to have managed the confidential sale of another outstanding Scottish hotel asset. The Pitt Bulkley House Hotel generated interest from buyers based in Scotland and further afield, as it's a very well-known hotel and hospitality business in the region. It is an excellent purchase for Smart Hotels as their operation in Scotland grows." Edinburgh-based law firm Lindsay's advised Solly Hotels on the deal, as well as on the Balgetty House and Kings Manor transactions. Alistair Smith, a director at Lindsay's corporate team, said the Sollys have a hard-earned reputation for good, well-run hotels, as has been reflected in the interest seen in acquiring them. "It has been a pleasure for us to advise the family on all 3 sales. The acquisition of Pitt Bulkley House is another example of not just the resilience of Scotland's independent hotel market, but the interest there is in investing in it when good opportunities emerge. Thornton's solicitors acted for Smart Hotels in the Pitt Bulkley House Hotel deal." And that was by Ian McConnell. The Herald on the 8th of October and the news section. Hurricane Milton could 180 miles per hour windstorm reach Category 6 status, by Dana Boyles-Pulver and Michael Laurier. The people of Florida are currently preparing themselves for the biggest storm to hit this state in more than 40 years. Hurricane Milton is set to cause chaos and comes off the back of Hurricane Helen, which already caused problems. It will force the largest evacuation of the state in 7 years, and Tampa Mayor Jane Castor has warned that lives could be lost. 231 people were killed across 6 states in southeastern USA, including parts of Florida, by Hurricane Helen, and the debris is still causing problems 2 weeks on. Hurricane Milton is an even stronger storm, with winds already reaching as high as 155 miles per hour and are expected to reach at least 180 miles per hour. In the past, the most dangerous hurricanes have reached Category 5 status, but as our sister title USA Today reports, Milton could potentially become the first ever Category 6. Milton's race from a Category 2 to Category 5 hurricane in just a few hours has left people wondering if the powerhouse storm could possibly become a Category 6. The hurricane grew very strong, very fast Monday after forming in the Gulf of Mexico, exploding from a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm Sunday morning to a powerhouse 180-mile-per-hour Category 5 hurricane, an eye-popping increase of 130 miles per hour in 36 hours. The rapidly developing hurricane that shows no signs of stopping won't technically become a Category 6, because the category doesn't exist at the moment, but it could soon reach the level of hypothetical Category 6 experts have discussed and stir up arguments about whether the National Hurricane Centre's long-used scale for classifying hurricane wind speeds from Category 1 to 5 might need an overhaul. Milton is already in rarefied air by surpassing 150 mph winds to become a Category 5. But if it reaches wind speeds of 192 miles per hour, it will surpass a threshold that just 5 hurricanes and typhoons have reached since 1980, according to Michael Werner, a climate scientist at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, and Kim Cossin, a retired federal scientist and science advisor at the non-profit First Street Foundation. The pair authorised a study looking at whether the extreme storms could become the basis of a Category 6 hurricane denomination. All 5 of the storms occurred over the previous decade. The scientists say some of the more intense cyclones are being supercharged by record warm waters in the world's oceans, especially in the Gulf of Mexico and parts of Southeast Asia and the Philippines. Cossin and Wenner said they weren't proposing adding a Category 6 to the wind scale, but were trying to inform broader discussions about communicating the growing risks in a warming world. Other weather experts hope to see wind speed categories de-emphasised, saying they don't adequately convey a hurricane's broader potential impacts, such as storm surge and inland flooding. The worst of the damage from Helen came from when the storm reached the Carolinas and had already been downgraded from a hurricane to a tropical storm. The Hurricane Centre has used the well-known scale with wind speed ranges for each of 5 categories since the 1970s. The maximum threshold for Category 5 winds is 157 miles per hour. Designed by engineer Herbert Safir and adopted by former Centre Director Robert Simpson, the scale stops at Category 5 since winds that high would cause rupturing damages that are serious no matter how well it's engineered, Simpson said during a 1999 interview. The open-ended Category 5 describes anything from a nominal Category 5 to infinity, Cossin said. That's becoming more and more inadequate with time because climate change is creating more and more of these unprecedented intensities. And that was by Diana Voiles-Pulver and Michael Lorena. The Herald on the 8th of October and the news section. Scottish software firm raises money as it builds AI and targets growth, by Ian McConnell. The Scottish workforce optimisation software provider has secured £750,000 of equity funding as it plans international growth and the building of further artificial intelligence functionality. Glasgow-based Corporate Modelling Services, CMS, has secured the funding from the Investment Fund for Scotland, managed by Maven Capital Partners and delivered by the British Business Bank. Private equity firm Maven said CMS helps clients to transform their back-office operational efficiency and improve the ultimate end customer experience through the implementation of a suite of workforce optimization technologies delivered through its platform OPX. Highlighting CMS's plans, Maven added the transaction will allow the business to invest further in its award-winning platform, enhancing its capabilities and building out further AI functionality into its modular software suite. Funding will also support its growing sales function to service global operators, including current opportunities in the US, as well as embarking on a number of strategically significant international partnerships to expand its customer reach. Maven noted that the software currently supports organizations with multiple tools. It said that these tools include task allocation, ensuring the correctly skilled staff are working on the most suitable jobs at the right time, and employee time analysis. Maven added, by providing a system for effective management of resources and service demand, OPX can enhance customer operations and sit alongside or integrate with other software solutions, automating the data exchange between them. The software is applicable across a range of sectors, including financial services, utilities, telecommunications, government entities, and retail, and can service clients of scale with up to 60,000 users, Maven observed. It added the platform already supports an impressive list of long-term customers across global financial services and business process outsourcers. And the team have built a diverse pipeline of prospective OPX clients. Back-office workforce management is an emerging market with the shift in working patterns in recent years highlighting the need for technology to optimize human capital use while boosting employee experience and client service. OPX is well placed to help customers achieve more without additional human resource. Alex Allen, Chief Executive at CMS, said, "I'm delighted to be working with Maven. I didn't want a passive investor, and it was clear from the early conversations with Craig and the team at Maven that their market experience and contact base will help accelerate our growth, which in turn will allow us to deliver better customer experience, accelerate our AI technology roadmap, and develop new markets." Craig McGill, investment manager at Maven, said, "CMS has built an impressive platform that can transform many businesses across different industries. Alex and the senior team are all highly driven, experienced individuals with a genuine entrepreneurial focus, and we look forward to supporting the business as it enters this exciting next phase of growth." Mark Sterrett, Director of Nations and Regions Funds at the British Business Bank, said, "The investment fund for Scotland was set up to support a nation of entrepreneurs, reflecting the critical role across to finance plays at every stage of their journey. Technology continues to be a high growth sector for the Scottish economy, and CMS is a great example of business using specialist software to help companies all over the world to work more effectively and efficiently. We look forward to playing a part in the firm's future growth." That was by Ian McConnell. The Herald on the 8th of October and the news section, why Scottish pupils are already ahead with class apprenticeships. Brought to you by the Skills Development Scotland. Thousands of Scots such as Pfeiffer, Iona McKee have been getting on the career ladder thanks to Scotland's own Foundation Apprenticeships programme, available in schools since 2016. With an increasing recognition of the value of work-based pathways, the UK Prime Minister announced the creation of Foundation Apprenticeships in England to give young people a foot in the door. Foundation Apprenticeships south of the border are set to provide paid training opportunities post-school. However, Scotland already has a Foundation Apprenticeship programme embedded in the school curriculum, offering vital work-based learning and qualifications to young people at an earlier age and providing employers with a pipeline of talent. Rolled out nationally in 2016, Scotland's Foundation Apprenticeships are well established and continue to offer school pupils opportunities to develop skills, gain confidence and get ready for the world of work. Designed by Skills Development Scotland in partnership with employers, Foundation Apprenticeships offer a blend of academic work and work-based learning for young people in the senior phase of secondary school. They are available in a range of in-demand job types, including engineering, financial services, health, and social care and digital. Pupils completing work-based pathways such as Foundation Apprenticeships to experience better employment outcomes, higher wages, and job satisfaction compared to peers. The findings were highlighted in a report from the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, which also found pupils completing Foundation Apprenticeships stayed in school longer and achieved higher academic performance levels. There are 15 different types of Foundation Apprenticeship, with the majority at SQF level 6. That's the same level as the Scottish Higher. The apprenticeship is undertaken alongside the rest of the school timetable, usually in S4, S5 or S6, depending on the school and level. The programme is delivered through partnerships between schools, a local learning provider such as a college, and local employers. During their apprenticeship, learners attend a learning provider where they build up their knowledge and skills, which they then put in practice in a real workplace with an employer. By doing a real job with real professionals, apprentices develop knowledge, gain transferable skills, and demonstrate competence in the workplace. This helps them move to a range of destinations after schools, including paid apprenticeships, college, university, or full-time work. Pfeiffer Ayana McGee hopes a path through Scottish apprenticeships with premium drinks firm Diageo inspires other young women to get into a career in science, technology, engineering, or maths. The young engineer realised the benefits of working and learning when she took a foundation apprenticeship as a school subject and decided to continue to pursue her dream career. Iona said, "My granddad inspired me to get into engineering, let me join him at his workbench to hammer nails and saw things. I just love working with my hands." I want to be that inspiration for other young women to think about STEM careers because I just love what I do. The 23-year-old completed a foundation apprenticeship at Kirkland High School before progressing on to a modern apprenticeship with Diageo, supported by Fife College. Iona's now started the next stage in her apprenticeship journey as a graduate apprentice, working with the firm and studying for her degree in mechanical engineering with Edinburgh's Heriot-Watt University. Through her apprenticeship, Iona has played an integral role to an engineering team who fix breakdowns, complete maintenance and solve problems. She excelled in her mechanical engineering studies, and her achievements included stepping up to cover for an experienced engineer when she was relied on to carry out challenging tasks. Iona won the Modern Apprentice of the Year SCQF Level 6 Plus category at the Scottish Apprenticeship Awards held earlier this year. Iona said, "Doing a modern apprenticeship means you can carry out tasks at work that you've learned at college, which gives you a huge advantage. I'd always wanted to take my education further, and I'm now working in global engineering, involved in a community of engineers all over the world, which is an amazing opportunity." Diageo Capability Manager Rhoda Gabellone said, "Iona absolutely embraced the whole apprenticeship. She won everyone over and went above and beyond. She's a very proactive learner, always keen to progress, and it's a natural at coaching and mentoring younger apprentices who are coming through. Apprentices bring new ways of thinking and working, a drive and eagerness to learn, and they help us to future-proof our business by bringing new skills." Fife College Employment Engagement Advisor Roseanne Somerville said Iona was an exceptional apprentice whose commitment and attitude to her studies was exemplary. She has developed into a confident and competent engineer. Foundation apprenticeships are funded by Skills Development Scotland and the Scottish Funding Council. And that was by Skills Development Scotland.
This is from the Herald Scotland of Wednesday, the 9th of October 2024, from the Voices section. It's time to stop abusers like Al-Fayed using law to silence victims. This article is by Struan Stevenson. The unravelling horror story of alleged rape and sexual abuse involving the former Harrods owner Mohammed Al-Fayed contains a familiar trademark. Al-Fayed used non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, to gag victims of his sexual crimes. NDAs seem to be the weapon of choice for the super-rich and for big international corporations who want to hide something. They are frequently used to silence whistleblowers and to provide protection from accusations of sexual or racial abuse, harassment, and workplace bullying. NDAs can have legitimate objectives, such as protecting personal privacy or ensuring that confidential business information is not disclosed to a third party. But under the guise of these genuine concerns, the intrinsically secretive nature of NDAs allows their cynical exploitation by sexual predators, bullies, and even corporate crooks, and must surely call into question the use and enforceability of such agreements in these contexts. Although, under UK law, NDAs cannot be used to prevent someone from cooperating with a criminal investigation or reporting misconduct. They often are. The fear of protracted legal action and potential crippling costs is often enough to secure the ongoing silence of even the most ill-treated or physically molested victim. This was clearly the case with the dozens of women, some as young as 15, who claimed they were raped or physically assaulted by the Egyptian tycoon Mohammed Al-Fayed when they worked at Harrods or accompanied their monster boss on trips to his luxury apartment building in London, the Ritz Hotel in Paris, his opulent villas around the world, and his super yacht. Having signed NDAs as a condition of service, they felt unable to reveal the abuse that Al-Fayed had inflicted on them until after his death, aged 94, last year. He is just the most recent multi-millionaire or billionaire to have ruthlessly exploited NDAs for predatory purposes. In America, Harvey Weinstein, the disgraced Hollywood producer, used NDAs widely to silence victims of his sexual misconduct. Following one of the most high-profile cases that contributed to the Me Too movement, 70-year-old Weinstein is now serving a 23-year jail sentence for rape and sexual assault. The American rapper P. Diddy insisted on watertight agreements being signed by his close friends and colleagues, effectively gagging them for up to 70 years. The rapper's homes in Los Angeles and Miami were recently raided by the Department of Homeland Security in an investigation tied to alleged sex trafficking concerns. Also in America, there has been a public outcry following revelations that private hospitals have forced patients who have won medical malpractice cases to sign NDAs, so that they cannot harm the hospital's reputation by disclosing the negligence or medical ineptitude they have suffered. Even our own NHS has used NDAs to settle disputes involving whistleblowers and claimants, often related to workplace bullying, harassment, or discrimination, while in the EU, the European Commission has used NDAs when dealing with whistleblowers or departing staff to ensure confidentiality around internal processes or sensitive information. Protecting and supporting whistleblowers through the law and improved HR practices will ultimately enhance legitimate business activity. When the Volkswagen emissions scandal came to light in 2015, which cost the company billions of pounds, it was noted then that there was a remarkable absence of whistleblowing. There has to be mechanisms put in place that make it more rewarding to call out wrongdoing than to keep it secret. Since the Me Too scandal, NDAs have been viewed as legal instruments that attempt to conceal misconduct. Debates about their ethical implications are now commonplace. Some EU member states are considering legislation to limit their use and enforceability in these contexts. There is a growing awareness that NDAs, or gagging orders, that force a person to observe long-term or even permanent silence, even if the release of the information they have could be in the public interest, should be banned. Such confidentiality agreements are an extremely powerful legal tool that, if used unscrupulously, particularly against vulnerable people who may not be aware of what's entailed, can have serious consequences. According to a BBC report in 2020, around 1/3 of UK universities at that time employed NDAs to ring-fence student grievances and resolve sexual harassment complaints, although many believed that the existence of these agreements simply perpetuated the abusive behaviour. Students whose claims of sexual assault were settled by the universities, sometimes with a financial payment, were often made to sign an NDA to protect the institution's reputation. Scotland's universities have been united behind a position never to use NDAs or confidentiality clauses in cases of harassment since 2019. Meanwhile, in August this year, the Office for Students, the OFS, announced new requirements for universities in England to protect students from harassment and sexual misconduct, including a ban on NDAs, which came into force on September the 1st. So, bit by bit, the system is being improved and reformed. All the recent high-profile cases involving NDAs have served to make the public deeply wary of their ethical legitimacy. Surely it is not beyond the wit and wisdom of our legislators in London and Edinburgh to come up with a system that enables NDAs to continue to be used for purely commercial or business purposes, while outlawing their exploitation by predators and rich criminals. What is essential is that NDAs must never again be allowed to silence whistleblowers or women who have been sexually abused, or people who have suffered discrimination in the workplace. That article was by Struan Stevenson.
That concludes this week's edition of the Herald Scotland podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels, review, and tell your friends about our service.